bracket previously. Virtus.pro were able to beat them.
Sorry, I got to cut you off. Look at this all chat, man. That's what we're going to be talking about. You know, how's your day? Oh, it's not going too bad. He's like, well, ask me in 3 hours. And then GPK says, well, it's maybe going to be 2 hours. Let's see if it's going to be a 2-0 or not. But, you know, I really like the way that VP drafted this time around. Where we've seen Liquid look super strong is when they're able to push and be aggressive early on. Just between these two teams in particular, VP, when they win their games, they win it 11.5 minutes slower than Liquid does. Liquid are trying to close it out in the 30 to 35 minute mark. VP, they're happy with 40 to 45. So the fact that they got rid of these heroes like the Shadow Fiend, the Enigma, lots of these very fast pushing ones, Lone Druid was dissuaded away from as well. I think VP are going to be very happy with this. And like as you mentioned, with that Razor pick, there's nowhere else a Lifestealer can go. So they're very happy to have that direct counter there.
Yeah, VP are without a doubt happy with the late game, but we have seen some issues with them being able to actually close out games. And I think the most recent one would be that game 1 against Secret earlier today. We've seen some other games in particular, the difficulties with them throwing some leads. So you're exactly right. Liquid on it always like to look to end early, but VP, it's still a big question at the moment. Would they be in this position if some of those leads had gone another way?
Yeah, for sure. They're still going to put GPK on the Primal Beast. Like I was saying before, it feels like it has been semi-countered by some of their heroes, right? Early on, you're going to have the Glimpse, you're going to have the Lifestealer, which still does a decent amount of that percentage damage against him. You just get so farmed that it's very effective. GPK trying to put the cheats in just for a little bit of extra gold in the alt chat there. Not going to work out. The other interesting thing is that this is only the second Skywrath Mage pick of the entire tournament. The other team that did it was Infamous against Extreme Gaming. They lost, unfortunately. So to bring out in this last series of the Last Chance Qualifier as a hero with 0% win rate, it's a ballsy one, but we'll see if it ends up working out. They're actually going to put the 2 ranged up top here as well, DM and Hakoda. And maybe just looking to really emphasize that Ramses has a solid start to this game on the Razor with the toss back on Yamich and be able to secure some of that early gold so that the Lifestealer isn't as much of a threat once the lanes start to dissolve and we get into the mid game.
Do we feel like there's either side that, with how the lanes are set up at the moment, are going to be a little bit more favorable to come out on top with a slight advantage here?
It just depends on how this first blood goes in my eyes, right? You're going to have a lot of damage being spammed out onto this top side of the map. Disruptor, not really one of those heroes that likes to go into something like the headdress, so you might be able to spam him out, but Insania, he's got the 2 sets of tangos to be able to start with, so he just realizes that he needs to constantly be putting pressure on, preventing DM and Hakoda from putting a lot of pressure onto Matumba Man, because, you know, like I was saying before, Ramses needs a good start. If Matu could stay a little bit ahead of the Razor, maybe the tempo is just going to be a bit too much.
Yeah, always concerns with the Lifestealer if you do get shoved out into the jungle. It's a hero that is very self-sufficient, unable to catch up too easily. But we see pretty much every lane at the moment, just abilities being spammed out, trying to edge out that little victory here, trying to get the resources low on the other side.
Big thing that I'm looking at is this level 2 at bottom. Yeah, Boxy's doing a really good job, but he's not going to have that freedom to consistently walk on forward, especially with the wave sitting underneath the tower. If he does this once Yamich is level 2, maybe you get that toss back and you're able to get that early kill.
They might go now. Yeah, Zai just hit level 2, but they were just off the mark.
Not quite yet level 2 just yet. There's a creep that's about to die, and it was actually the range creep, so they might have been able to secure that one if they just waited that little bit longer, but both teams, some of the nerves starting to get to them. Couple of first bloods being missed out on. The mid-game, mid-lane rather, Mikke going up against GPK. Yeah, Pango, probably one of the better heroes to be able to lane against the Primal Beast. You've got plenty of abilities that allow you to soak up some damage. Once he levels up the Swashbuckle a little bit more, he's going to be able to be not so worried about the trample affecting him. Just be able to create that little bit of a gap. For me, for BP, they're just playing around these BKB timings, right? Then you suddenly don't really care about the kinetic field or the glimpse or the Pango roll. It's really just going to be quite heavily on the back of Boxy to be able to just use something like the cogs, like the hook shot that don't care about the BKB to allow his team to be able to create that little bit of a gap and kite out those BKBs.
And so far, it looks like the lane's going pretty well from either side. Visage struggling at the moment on DM. This is a hero that can have some difficulties. I mean, level 1, very, very strong, but with the other levels in the lane, you can feel a little bit awkward here. So 9 last hits for DM. Insanya's done a very good job to continue to have the creep near clear of him.
Oh, look at this. Look
tower.
at this. Up top, GPK. He's already making the move. This is what we saw Topson do in T1
Nice
series. Yeah, and they scan out the movement entirely. He pushed the wave under the tower. They're going to look to position themselves really defensively.
Look at the aggressive glyph. But Tumberman's in trouble. A glyph to not help out. GPK, nice attempt. It was a glimpse to try and send him away. But the aggressive one from Virtus.pro, a great maneuver, even though the scan connected from Liquid.
Yeah, they did almost everything right there on Liquid. Maybe just not able to pop that rage quite quickly enough. I didn't see if it was on cooldown or not, but yeah, that's a big win coming through from VP, especially giving it over to DM, like you were mentioning. Didn't have the greatest net worth in the laning phase.
Down actually top. Yeah, but Tumberman and Insania hit back instantly. Yakota will get a trade. It's a big kill though for at least Liquid to find, kind of stabilizing that previous death.
Yeah, for sure. But you still get the experience. You're still up to level 3 now on DM. And of course, he's the one that's going to start to put a bit more pressure on. This is probably a much faster draft than that VP are used to playing, just because they don't have to contend with defending against Liquids. They can play the game much more on their tempo, I feel.
Do we feel like a lot of the tempo is going to come out from GPK and then like early on until we get some of the timings out of DM?
Yeah, absolutely. They also mentioned T-Panda during the panel that VP, they're a very stack-heavy lineup, and, well, the Razor, one of the better heroes at being able to take those. You know, you stack up the jungle, even the Radiant one, you can take multiple stacks at the same time, accelerate your net worth, and look to pick up that early-ish BKB, because, yeah, like you were saying before, GPK, he's the one that's going to be rotating towards the Visage's lane, open up the map by taking some of those towers.
I think it's going to come down to Liquid and how they can start to set up some of their wards to be able to scout out GPK. Already seen him try and make one move across the map, and closing on that level 6 is going to further enable that. So they don't have the greatest wards at the moment. Liquid will need to consider shortly as well, and well, even Virtus.pro as well, considering GPK has a bottle. So I think this next power rune, the first one of the game, is going to be a really big moment here in game 1.
Yeah, Liquid have already got some of the wards set up for it. The one placed down by Boxy in the bottom lane, securing that one a little bit. Again, it really doesn't matter where DM makes the where GPK makes the rotation to. Top side now,
Bottom,
you might
they're going on Ramses.
Okay.
The Gala Box is going to try and step in. They do a pretty decent job to break the static link. Not a whole lot of damage that Ramses been able to soak up. Looks like they're still trying to enter though. Yamich gets the avalanche. Will be okay. His Box is going to push Ramses away.
Another
Meanwhile,
kill.
top lane though, DM brings down Matumba, man. Insania is able to keep back, but not getting the core trade onto Visage is really going to continue to hurt the game of the Lifestealer.
Oh, and look at this. They're talking about those power runes. He's level 6 on GPK, making the rotation up with his ultimate.
Oh, Psycho stealing the plasma into the tree throw from Yamich.
They're doing everything
Ramses
so
might be
well.
traced to the tree line. Avalanche going to be able to cover the retreat. Beautifully done from Yamich as Ramses can step out of danger.
They spotted out GPK's movement with this sentry ward, just preventing the small camp from being blocked. So Matu's not going to chain feed up here. It was very important that just a simple ward could have potentially changed the outcome of this game. The siege creep is up on the top side. DM's about to hit onto level 6. So GPK, he wants to stay up top, but Mike, wisely enough, he's keeping that mid lane shoved in as much as possible.
So a little bit of information now for Virtus.pro to play with. Boxy tried to TP to the tier 2 tower to try and get the gold, or I should say mainly the experience from Yamich denying. So the fact that Clockwork will not be able to rotate now might enable GPK once again to think about making a play top.
The question is, what can Mike do in the meantime? He's actually going to be the one to make the first move. He's got level 7, Rolling Thunder being popped. They want to take out DM.
They'll be able to do just that. Mickey can bounce back off the tree. Insania will be able to keep his own life. Not enough damage coming out from the Soul Assumption, so beautifully done. Mickey, a big kill for them to be able to find top lane. Gives a bit of a full free wave here for Matumba Man.
It does, but it gives GPK a way to be able to shove the lane in mid as well. So he does that. That was the flag bearer creep as well, just going down. So losing out a little bit on that net worth, essentially doing what Mickey just did to him with pushing the wave in. Radiant tier 1 mid already sitting at half HP. So It's so close. Tiny little changes like that Sentry Ward, if it wasn't up top to scout out GPK's movement. Sure, Mikke would have been able to get the same amount done in the mid lane, but Matu probably would have died. Would have had to make that walk of shame back, maybe even go back into the jungle, which, as we've been saying, Lifestealers really don't want to do.
50-50 goes Mikke's way, gets a regen, nothing too crazy. Will help with the farm. A little bit lucky considering GPK had the ultimate advantage. So there was no battle going on though.
Matu.
You see though these observer wards.
He's getting run out a little bit. You've got the familiars available. Coda.
The Ancient Seal, yeah, might catch him off guard. Matu's in trouble. Familiar Sunja the second. The damage is not enough. A really nice attempt from Virtus.pro. The Ancient Seal is always going to prove to be an issue here for the Lifesteal as the game continues on. His bottom lane. Rams is inside the cogs at the moment. Zai making sure he plays his distance, not trying to give it an easy static link target. Ramsey is now forced to try and move over to the clockwork. A beautiful toss under the tower. Box is in trouble. They'll be able to secure the kill. Zai, first ultimate of the game, should bring down Ramsey as a teep bit of base. I don't think he's going to take it out. Ramsey's popped the Fairy Fire. He's got the raindrop as well. Meanwhile, top lane, the action continues as Mikke. Another rotation with the Rolling Thunder. They'll get the kill onto Hakoda.
And he's just a little bit short on mana on GPK. You could tell he wants to up the tempo. He wants to create a lot of pressure for this Lifestealer. But some of these movements really haven't been working out, and Liquid are taking advantage of it. Previously, there were multiple lanes going in Virtus.pro's favor. Not so much anymore.
And Matu's second in net worth, considering these two early deaths that we saw in the lane. So have to be very happy with Liquid. Insania's very close to level 6 as well, so this could give him a free pick off across the map.
And Matu, he hasn't fully retreated back into, you know, the depths of the jungle. He's looking to make sure that he's thereabouts. If he wants to be able to connect through onto that tier 1 tower to defend it like he had previously, then that really does slow down a lot of where Virtus.pro were able to get that farm, because you have to remember they've got a Tiny that they're playing with. Yamich, he just makes a stack inside of the Radiant jungle, and he wants to make sure that he can sit in a lane that's, you know, perhaps a little bit greedier, but enabled, because Virtus.pro's cores might be able to farm that couple of extra jungle camps that happen as soon as you take down one of these towers. That Blink Dagger timing, incredibly important for a support
Ramses might be in trouble here with the jungle. They got 3 points in the glimpse. They're not going to get a whole lot of distance, but with all the heroes from Liquid nearby, and they see Virtus.pro still playing up top, so nice pick off for them to find, but at least Virtus.pro will get their first tier 1 tower of the game.
Yeah, and they did that while they were taking that tower. They know that Virtus.pro's main objective is taking that, so they're not going to be in a position to TP back, to be played defensively around Ramses. He was farming in a pretty safe spot, but Liquid just reading the minds of Virtus.pro right now.
We do kind of see how easy it is at the moment for Virtus.pro to be able to take these objectives. They have this advantage in regards to the familiar. Do we feel like Liquid might have that full mid lane? GPK. Not going to get too much distance away. Mikke will actually do a U-turn back to Yamich. Box is going to look about stepping in as well. This is a very deep attempt now that they haven't been able to capitalize on the early use of that Rolling Thunder, but it is space created. Zai free farming down bot, starting to put some pressure into the tower. 3 points in the Plague Ward, so he's got firm control of bottom. It's going to be very difficult for Virtus.pro to be able to recapture this side of the map.
To their credit, though, they don't really need to. Like I was saying before, that tower going down top really does open up a few more areas of the map. You can see that Liquid, they've essentially sealed off all entrances into the Radiant jungle. So the bottom half of the map is all Liquids right now. Zai's just going to sit there. He's going to farm a little bit more until he picks up that Wraith Pact. You've almost got the Diffusal Blade on the Pangolier as well. Even the Armlet on Matumba Man is going to come at a pretty similar timing. So in about 3 minutes or so, when it hits into that nighttime, expect Liquid to make their first move.
Yeah, and already Virtus.pro, this is their first move, but the level 6 is a big pick-off if they can find it. But Yamich is a little bit too far away. A lot of burst potential between the duo supports from Virtus.pro. They're going to be able to block off Insania. The backs up on the higher ground, puts the Disruptor in an awkward position. So at least Virtus.pro will find one kill.
They will, but it's not the one that they were wanting. They want to continue to pressure up Matu. He's been able to still, even being 5th or so on the net worth, he's a little bit ahead of Ramses. All right, well, DM, he's continuing to push up on this top side. They want to make sure that they can cause Liquid to make a lot of movements up towards this top side of the map if they need to. Doesn't seem like they're going to take the bait, though. Matu makes the TP. he still wants to be the one sitting around here, and Yamich, he's using this time to be able to be a little bit greedier, take some of that safe, relatively safe farm that they've got, because this doesn't feel kind of like what's happening on the bottom side with Zai, with the Plague Wards. Liquid really don't want to be venturing too far into their jungle. The kill threat from Virtus.pro is way too high.
See what Liquid can do. Smoke is 3. Yamich has got some great positioning. Smoke's gonna pop and they'll see the Tiny. Not the hero they want to bring down to start. And in fact, Virtus.pro want to take the team fight. They're gonna toss Boxy into the middle, taking a lot of damage at the moment for the Clockwork. They haven't secured the kill just yet, but the Soul Assumption finally enough to bring him down. In the end, a 1-for-1, but Liquid do commit multiple ultimates. But in the end, Mickey will still be able to catch up as well with a max out shield crash, enough burst to be able to bring down the duo support from Virtus.pro. And again, look at what's happening across the map. All that thought is top lane. Matu rage back up in a couple of seconds. The rest of the team is starting to connect. Again, the ultimates were used by Virtus.pro. They should be okay.
Looks like they'll be able to back off. Yeah, even without that ultimate, Insania, still a few seconds left on the glimpse. They're going to potentially look to keep chasing, but you got to be careful about going into these choke points. He has the defusal available, but look at this by Zai. He's moved away from the bottom lane, went into mid, took the tower. Now suddenly the map is a little bit more open for Liquid to play with.
That's another power rune secured as well for Mickey. Feels like he's gotten every single power rune, and they're going to look to use it instantly onto Hikoda. And one big advantage that Radiant are playing with at the moment as a whole, again, look at Liquid, they're not done. Yamich looks to enter the lane. He's trying to get a little bit of farm to work towards the Blink Dagger. They see Ramses as well. Zai, if required, might have to drop the ultimate, but Mickey, he's got his own Rolling Thunder to be able to catch back up. Near the high ground to bounce back and forth. It's not even required for the second stun as Liquid go from one kill to the next. They're building up quite the lead here.
They are indeed. DM still doing his best to continue the pressure up top, wanting to make sure that he's got eyes on the minimap at all times, preventing any of these gank attempts to connect. But look at this. Insania, Boxy, the support duo. They saw... I don't think they saw the courier path, but they're going to see it on the way back. They'll be able to connect through onto DM. They realize he is the one creating the only tempo this game. Any TP's coming up. Nice scan. Being able to catch out perhaps anyone else that's sticking by.
Oh, no! Alright, look at the static storm down at least. A little bit awkward with a hook shot. But there's no way for DM to make it out, so he'll still end up going down nonetheless, even with a little bit of miscommunication.
A little bit of extra gold for Insania as well. We've seen how important those disruptors, if they can get into their Aghanim Scepter, it can be. So he's been involved in a fair few kills so far, able to secure that familiar. So looking pretty decent so far for the man. Of course, very important for him to get into the 4-star this game, though, just to be able to get that extra distance away from the Razor, the Mystic Flare, the Primal Beast. Movement is key for Liquid.
Holy.
They're trying to bait out Ramses. Look at the support duo on VP this time. They're like, well, you could make a play on one of our cores. We could try and do the same, but Liquid, they don't take it. They realize that, you know, they've been a few too many heroes off the map for too long, so we're just going to sit back, relax, let us play our timing. We've got the Diffusal Blade. Now we can make our move.
They've got the Infest Bomb. They see Ramses. Ancient Seal is going to buy him some time. Matumberman's going to continue to move on forward. They've got the vision for the glimpse to cancel the TP. And now Ramses, he's going to be caught out. No escape for the Razor. The prize target once again for Liquid, as they're going to continue to slow down the game from Virtus.pro.
Immediately the line's drawn on the map as well, saying, look, I might have died, but they committed a lot to be able to make that happen. Rolling Thunder coming through, Infest Bomb not available anymore. And would you have a look at this? Look how early he bought the Aghanim Shard as well on the Lifestealer. Open wounds already picked up here. He wants to be able to go man mode against these heroes like the Razor, for example, and still actually do something against a lot of that damage that might be static linked off.
I think this is the second time I've seen Matu do this now. I think when we casted their previous series, might have been back in the group stages where he went for the Ag Shard very early on. So interesting to see kind of the development of Lifesteal's item builders. I guess the meta goes on. Yamich, they might dive him. Yeah, Zai with the backstab. This is a big thing, man. The fact that Virtus.pro were getting no kills on their duo support, like this is both Tiny and Sky really rely on getting these kills. You are high burst magic damage heroes, and if you can't blow the supports up, if you can't get towards the blink, it's really going to hinder VP's game.
TPs, though.
Yeah, top lane. Boxy gets the hook shot, Mickey with the follow-up as well. Virtus.pro do have multiple members nearby as GPK just assassinates the backline, and DM, he's okay. Protected with the Wraith Pack, the damage mitigation is proving to be an issue for Liquid. Can they finally deal with it? Looks like that's going to be the case, but the Mystic Flare not enabling Virtus.pro to turn it around, so they need to cut their losses as GPK is going to dive out of the area. DM will not have the same capability, however, so in the end, a 2-for-2, Virtus.pro do at least get 2 supports, but it still comes at a cost.
Yeah, I think that's actually a pretty big win for Liquid as well. Not just necessarily because of that core and support trade, but Yamich, he thought that fight was going to go on a little bit longer, so he commits his TP onto the tier 1 top. There was, I believe, 2 waves hitting into the tier 2 bottom at the time, and if he went down there instead, he would have been able to spend that time farming up the remaining parts of his Blink Dagger. He might still be able to with this, but you mentioned before that they've got this kill support duo with Yamich as well as Hakoda. That Blink Dagger is a big part of that.
I think as the game goes on, it's going to really prove to be an issue with this Wraith Pack. We just see how tanky DM is in through that little skirmish there. And I mean, he's even got the hood working on the pipe next item as well. So Liquid may have some difficulties with being able to blow up the Visage. And I think this is probably the big timing key now for BP. They've got double BKB, really the first item now completed on Ramses.
They do indeed. You still got to wait for Yamich, though. You're not ready. You might have to give up this tower, and they're saying, well, they're not defending this tier 1. They certainly have the capabilities to. There has to be a reason. They're not quite ready to fight. Let's just go straight on into Roche, and I actually quite like this play.
Ooh. I'm not sure if they have confirmation prior, but they now know that Ramses has BKB with that rocket flare. And they also know exactly where VP are at the moment. Even though they scan, there will be no contest. So a free first Roche going the way of Liquid. 5,000 net worth lead. Are we going to continue to see them play active across the map? They've got 16 kills, but can they get objectives with this Aegis?
I think it's important for them to play active, but they got to play active onto the right heroes, right? You mentioned before that BKB on Ramses makes him a lot more tanky for a lot of these engagements happening, particularly coming through from Zai as well as Mickey. So if he's able to back away from that and cause them to go on perhaps the Primal Beast instead, then that's really going to enable some of that damage to come out from VP.
So we already see the observed ward from Liquid being able to scout out Hakoda. Trying to leave down the bottom side of the map. They might have seen him also place the ward as well if they were checking the inventory. We'll see if Liquid look to deward that afterwards, but that kill should give them firm control of this bottom side of the map. So the T2 tower will soon be under siege, and even mid is getting shoved out as well. So Liquid have a lot of room to make plays now.
Yeah, while Liquid weren't showing on the map, you know, VP were doing the best that they could to try and get the most that they could out of the map with their farm, but they didn't lose any towers. You know, even the tier 1 mid still standing. Tier 1 on the bottom side of the map, and Matu, he's closing in on his Desolator. So that was probably an area of weakness for them. This TP.
Again, Virtus.pro were going to try and smoke to get up here, but I don't think DM's going to be healthy enough to survive this long. Trying to get the tower, but the familiars will go down. So Virtus.pro, they need to get something out of this smoke. They will see Insania and Zai shortly. He's also not easy to blow up. He's got the Wraith Pact if he can chuck it. Oh, the toss, no, out of the Mystic Flare. But the use of the Ancient Seal, Static Storm is going to be able to cover the retreat, but Ramses on the wraparound. They'll be able to kill off the Venomancer. For Virtus.pro, they need to get out. The use of the Poison Oval will not enable them to stick around as Boxy is actually been able to catch out Ramses. A BKB won't protect him as the Cog's not enabling him to run up the high gun, so he's going to have to go to the left instead. But a completely wasted BKB, and he'll still end up losing his life.
That's the great thing about the open wounds, right? I was mentioning before how it's good to allow you to just stand and man fight against these Razor, Primal Beast, even the Tiny eventually with his great stat gain, but just the slow component. It means that you need to be so much more conscientious of when you're looking to pop that BKB. Oh, and the massive Pidus on Ramses as well. He's going to be kicking himself there.
Just some slight errors that we usually don't see from this Virtus.pro team. Like that last fight in particular, the toss out of the Mystic Flare. The support duo in particular, Hakoda and Yamich, have always been good. The synergy between them, but something needs to click shortly. This game's starting to get out of hand, and maybe this could be the smoke.
And that was their big timing, right? They wanted to have that Blink Dagger with the Mystic Flare combination together as well from the Tiny, and they just didn't accomplish it. Damage moving forward under the cover of smoke.
They've got the Infest. They're going to have a lot of bonus health. Matumbaman's going to pop out. A 1-for-1 to start, but they're in trouble now, Virtus.pro. The Delta split comes through, but DM's going to be glimpsed back into the middle. Matumbaman won't have a stun to be able to cancel the Visage TP, so DM will be able to escape. Meanwhile, back up to the left side, Mickey, a solo use of the Rolling Thunder has been able to isolate Yamich on the Tiny. So Liquid in the end will be able to find two, but they've also caught out GPK. It's got a BKB to work with if required. They're going to drag it back into the Static Storm. There's not much GPK can do to play this one aggressively. He's going to try and trample away, but the bashes are there, making sure there will be no opportunity as Matumbaman can close the distance and get the right clicks going.
It's just those little bit of things of coordination, right? He pops the BKB and runs away from Ramses that had commit forward with the static link. He wanted to be able to help out his teammate, but you can't do that if you're just going to instantly cause the link to break. Look at that range on the open words. It's kind of nutty.
For VP, I think it needs to be a toss into Ancient Seal if they're really going to start the fight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're somewhat rattled. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
3 Aegis claimed.
Dire aren't all here at the moment. Boxy's still going to look to hookshot under the T2 tower. They've been able to kite the Mystic Flare as well, which is a lot of the initial damage from Virtus.pro. The Infest is going to be enough to secure the kill, and also doesn't put Matumbaman in a compromised position. Meanwhile, though, Zai is under the ward and the creeps as well. Instant use of the Wraith Pact. He's been able to break the static link, and now with the Rolling Thunder... Okay, actually, not used from Mickey. Charge it up. Threading from Virtus.pro.
Yeah, he wants to. He wants to create space to the left-hand side of this tier 2 tower, so that's going to go down. Zai did a great
might go
job.
Down here. They got Swashbuckle back up. Is Mickey going to go for it? Oh, so close. I think some of the last little ticks weren't there with a Swashbuckle.
Agonizingly close, man. This is looking real good for Liquid so far. I mean, the amount of times that they made that attempt up top with the tier 2 tower, it felt like DM was up there 5 separate times just trying to take that, and Liquid just had their minds on the amount of time that it would take for them to achieve an objective, get a gank, and go back and prevent VP from opening up the map. Even with that tier 2 tower taken, they haven't left their side of the map, so they haven't actually achieved anything. They haven't gotten the rewards for that tower that they committed so much for.
It's going to be really scary here for Virtus.pro. Look at the ward they've got at the triangle as well. Maybe this could help out though. Scepter now completed from GPK. Do we feel like there's another item that VP need to maybe turn the tides?
Well, I mean, 4 staffs are pretty at a premium for the supports as well, but just with how the game's been going, without being able to secure a lot of those kills early on, it means that it's still going to be quite some time until... Well, Yamich, he's a fair way away, but Hakoda's nearly picked his one up, so maybe if they could go for a smoke, get a pick off before the 4 staffs are needed, and then when Liquid try and go for the counter gank, that's when it can really start to have its impact.
Boxy might be right. Okay. So he might be right on the money if he kept going towards the lane. Almost was able to cut off. Instead, he's going to hookshot into the middle. But Matumbaman's still got a double damage route to play with. 2 hits to swipe away the life of Yakoda. And now GPK, he's the next on the agenda as well. It might have to be another defensive BKB to get him out. It's like at least the Scepter will be the deterrent here from Liquid. They're going to back up, but their prize will be the T2 tower.
Yeah, you just cannot fight into that DD. Oh yeah, they see him slowly walk on past. They know that the Primal Beast isn't quite there, so they could go for an aggressive gank attempt and then just have the freedom to back off. Yep, BKB is the objective that they wanted to get out of that, and now they can look to make another move in a few seconds. Just 3 seconds left on that hookshot cooldown. They're just going to check for a power rune. It's an arcane rune. Mickey, he has been on point with being able to secure these with his team. Might even be able to have the luxury of securing tier 3 items, go back with that little bit of an advantage because VP are holed up in their base. They're not going to be able to get that extra little bit of a power spike.
I mean, the Clockwork has been a support that has been rising in popularity over the Last Chance Qualifiers. We see it as a big hero for Virtus.pro in particular, and well, this game, Boxy is looking to show that he is incredibly strong, the hero as well. We've already seen him play it today, and these hook shots have been on point, and we might see it once again as GPK. A kinetic field,
oh,
yeah, you
no.
are. Yeah, you can't charge out of that one, which is a bit unfortunate. So it's just waiting for the hook shot to cancel out the TP. Instantly, Boxy was there, was ready for the attempt. The high fives, well, he won't get any back as Mickey is godlike.
He is indeed, and he's even got the basher as well. So even if Boxy wasn't there, they would have had the potential to be able to take out that key target again. And these movements coming through from Liquid, this is TI caliber. This is what, you know, a lot of people in the past have criticized them for, crumbling under the weight of expectation, but they're really coming through for not only themselves, but their region as well. Secret already having qualified, and could we be seeing 2 Western European teams coming through the last chance qualifiers?
I mean, both Insania, Boxy, and Mickey, they missed out on TI-10. They do not want to miss out on another TI, and with how Game 1 is looking at the moment, and making sure that is not going to be the case. Insania, it's chilling. And all these four stuffs, man, the supports are so farmed.
Yeah, and look at this as well. Like, this seems like a bit of a, I don't want to call it an all-in play just yet. Normally, you buy the gem when you've got control over the map, maybe when you've got the Aegis as well. But Hakoda, he's gone back and said, look, I know I had enough gold for my 4 stuff. We need to be able to play around the map. I need to make sure that we get some vision back, because right now, we've got nothing.
Is the advantage that Liquid have. You're playing with Rocket Flare, you're playing with goddamn Plague Wards. Just nothing they can do.
Shoving up pretty easily with Swashbuckle as well.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful call. Like, lanes are a very important way to gain vision. You see DM's trying to do that. Bottom with the familiars, Boxy and Martu are going to surround them. So, and just the read, yeah, you're trying to get these lanes in a position where maybe you can set up for a pickoff, but Virtus.pro, the 5-man smoke, they'll get nothing out of it. So maybe they can at least, and they will, they're going to drop an Observe Ward by the Roche. It will be up in 45 seconds. Let's see if they can take a fight around this area, but Dire are going to see them shortly.
They might have even got the sense that DM had resummoned his familiars too, so even if he does have the buyback, which he does, he'll be the key target for them to look to try and go on if they can take away that pipe.
Boxy's on the hind. Yamich gets the initiation though, but the Static Storm fall up as well. Matumba's going to turn to deal with a Tiny. They have stolen a decent amount of damage, but Mickey's in. The Rolling Thunder, a bounce back as well. They're going to try and target down Ramses, completely taking the Razor out of the team fight. He's surviving for the moment. They're going to turn to deal with DM, but the Visage just is unable to stay alive. Liquid are too far ahead, and Ramses will not be able to find a way through the tree line. He'll go back in the lane, and Virtus.pro have had enough as Liquid. You mentioned that this is a team, whenever they find their victories, they do it incredibly fast, and they've done it here once again. A 30-minute Game 1 victory in our last series of the Last Chance Qualifiers.
Very, very crisp, very clean. Martu, that's the face of someone that just lost a game, not just one. Well, face palm, but no, they're looking really good, and it's all on the back of that, man. Mickey had a phenomenal game. Came out of the laning stage with a net worth lead against GPK, 11-0 and 11. The man is just out of control, and you know what? For VP, I understand wanting to cut the losses, not potentially get tilted and